All right, back to Hobby Deep Dive. You mentioned it's wrinkle time.
Ooh.
We're throwing in a wrinkle. The zig we zag, Troy.
Yep.
We've done rookies. We've done vets. And now we're going to do sets. It's kind of like a Dr. Seuss book right there, right? We've done rookies, we've done sets, and now we're going to do vets, now we're going to do sets.
You kept me in here. I'm still diving, still looking at cards under the ocean. I got my name tag and everything.
I just added the sets edition. That's called mailing it in, Troy. Mailing it in. I thought it'd be fun to give listeners of the show some options of sets that would be fun to learn more about and see what they pick. So we put up an Instagram poll the other day. We gave 4 different set options. Here's the choices. 1998 OPG Blast from the Past. 2021 Allure 16-bit. The 2008 Jambalaya set and the 2012 PMG set. So all kind of very iconic sets. I had thought, like, for sure with a bullet that Blast for the Past was gonna. I even said, is this even worth a poll worth doing? And in a shocking to me result, Troy.
Yeah,
it
recency
did not win.
though. Gotta remember recency. Fresh in the people's mind is 16-bit.
So 2008 Jambalaya finished in last place with 16%. 2012 PMG 25%. Blast from the Past from 1998 OPG 29%, and the winner Chicken Dinner by I think 2 or 3 votes, so very close, was 2021 Allure 16-bit.
Nice.
So if you didn't see the percentages, you just saw the list and you had to pick the winner, which would you have thought Allure?
I would have went 16-bit personally, just because it's more my style. Video games, recent. I'm surprised. What does surprise me is Jambalaya was the last place. That surprised me.
Yeah, no love for the Jambalaya. Jeez. Well, that makes the 16-bit Easter egg, Troy, from the 2021-22 Allure release this week's Hobby Deep Dive. Now, the 16-bit Easter egg was pretty much an immediate hit, I would say, as it first appeared Allure in 2021-22. These cards are only released in Allure, so that's important to know. It has, of course, the great nostalgic tie into the 16-bit video game consoles that were first released in the fall of 1987 with the NEC Home Electronics PC engine, Troy, known as the TurboGrafx 16. Did you have one of those?
You want a fun fact?
Yeah.
The PC engine was its name in Japan. TurboGrafx 16 was its name in the States.
Oh, really? So did you have one?
I did not. I do have one right now. I have the mini version that they came out with. It's a lot of fun to play. It's cool. I did not have one when it first came out.
Is NEC Nintendo though? Basically?
No, that
Nintendo Entertainment Corporation wasn't.
No, Nintendo. Well, the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Next, a whole different company. Don't get me going. I might just start a video game podcast right now. Like, I'm ready.
Well, Troy, while the TurboGrafx 16 was the first 16-bit video game console, most people remember, the other, I guess, way to reference 16-bit consoles is 4th generation, as they were called. The most popular ones was really a battle between the Sega Genesis and, of course, the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and just to let you know, I tried to catch myself before it came out of my mouth. PC Engine was what it was called everywhere else in the world except the U.S. U.S. was TurboGrafx 16.
I don't even remember that. Like,
I remember coming out. It had the card or the cartridges. They were. I mean, I don't know what you want to call them. They were. I don't know. They're smaller than this, but they were like this. They were flat. They had the chip reader.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't like really. They almost were like credit card sized, and you put them in.
Well, I remember the Atari 2600 and then the Nintendo. Like, that's like the jump that existed in my mind. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, right, I kind of threw up a picture here just to get an idea of like what 16-bit video games look like. So here's Super Mario World.
Yep.
What was that, like the home? What did they call that? The title screen or?
Yeah, the home screen, title screen.
Home screen for that. 49 million Super Nintendo consoles would end up selling worldwide, Troy.
It's pretty amazing. So, now, you think that's a lot. Start looking up Game Boy, Nintendo Wii.
Oh, I'm sure.
Numbers. They get crazy how much those have sold.
So in the reference to all this sort of, from a nostalgic perspective, given that 40-some-year-old people, like this is when,
yep.
When we were kind of in our formative years, right? And we typically have the money to spend.
Yeah, I was just saying that's a genius
on
thing,
collectibles.
Disposable income now for all of us.
Yeah, so from that perspective, it makes sense that these Easter eggs from 2021 Allure would have resonated so quickly with people. Now, okay, so I think it's worth again covering the whole Easter egg concept.
Yep.
An Easter egg simply means that the set did not appear on the official checklist when 2021-22 Allure came out. What many people do, and I've been guilty of this in the past too, is you also equate Easter egg as being like super short print.
Mhm.
Like, oh, there's only 5 of these or 10 of these, something like that. What we've learned, I think all of us this year in the hobby with the Bedard NHL draft Easter egg SP, is that it does not necessarily mean they're short printed just because it's an Easter egg. That being said, and we'll kind of get into the whys in a few minutes here, all indications and every data point for 2021 16-bit cards points to that they were very limited in production. Like they're just a really tough chase. It'll always be a little bit of a mystery too, Troy, because these cards are not numbered, so it's not serial numbered. And one of the byproducts of being an Easter egg is you don't get pack odds or anything like that. So there's really no way to tell other than by looking at secondary market sales data and anecdotally how often you see them in sort of the quote unquote wild to get some sort of indication of how many there are. When you look at the 2021-22 16-bit checklist, there were 23 cards on the set. Now, the other kind of unique thing about these Easter eggs like this is that was not known right away. It took 6 months to like if you went to go to Cardboard Connection,
to get them all filled in.
Get them all filled in, right? It would be kind of patchwork and be like, well, these are the 10 we know about, and there's 13 others that we have no idea. And we got to wait until they're pulled or they show up on eBay or somebody notifies us to really complete that checklist. I always think that's kind of cool. Like when you go and you check out a checklist and you see that there's some cards that haven't even been discovered at this point.
Do you think for the upcoming Allure release that's not out yet, whatever the next one is, that Cardboard Connection would take them 8 years to get this checklist updated now?
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Well the kind of scary part is Beckett doesn't have the checklist. I don't think
they don't. They're usually so good about having like additional pages of like images of short prints and stuff. That's
not for 2021. They don't have it.
Maybe it's because it's pandemic times or something. I don't know.
So if you're watching on YouTube, here's the things to know about the checklist for the 2021 16 bits. It's all veterans. There's no rookies. There's no legends. As I mentioned, there's 23 players on the checklist. We're not going to go through all of them, but the biggest names are Connor McDavid, Matthew Tkachuk, Sidney Crosby, Pasta, Cale Makar, Ovi, Jack Hughes, and Kaprizov. Right? I'd probably throw those ones in there. Like I said a minute or two, I'm pretty confident not many of these were printed. When you look on Card Ladder and you search for 2021 Allure 16-bit, 119 sales total come up. That's again for 23 cards. So if you average, it's about each card has sold on average about 5 times. Then sort of triangulating some other points of research. Today, there's 21 for sale on eBay of the 20 total. And then if you look at the PSA Pop Report for 2021-22 Allure 16-bit, 71 total have been graded. The highest number graded for a single player is for McDavid. 13 copies have been graded by PSA.
Boy, these things they got to be super short printed. Holy cow.
I'm thinking like 20, 25 probably each, something like that. Of the 71 that have been graded, Troy, 43 have received the PSA 10 grade. So that's about a 61% gem rate. And of the 23, what I wanted to do is list the top 5 highest selling, so which players sell for the most. And then so I picked, we're going to go through from 5 to 1. And then I just listed the highest sale for each player because I think like the top 3 or 4 sales are the same guy. So it's a pretty boring kind of top 5 list.
Gotcha.
So number 5 is David Pastrnak. His highest sale is 526. It's raw via eBay.
You mean this lion? This picture of the lion that they took? I was
going to mention this later too, but the one kind of nice thing about the whole 16-bit concept itself is it gives Upper Deck license to not be photorealistic. To like, how so many people have complained about the 2013 retro Marvel PMGs.
Yes.
And how they don't like the artistic interpretations of the players, where some of these get a little bonkers. Now the question I have for you, because you're more the video game guy, it's a 16-bit card, but that is not a 16-bit image of Pasta. That's like a Nintendo 64 type quality, like a 64.
The first thing I thought is they look a little higher resolution than what 16-bit could do, but I get the gist.
But a true 16-bit would look like just like basically.
Go back to this Mario picture. I mean, you can kind of
would look like Minecraft version of every player.
Yeah.
So Pasta is the number 5 highest selling player. Number 4, Jack Hughes. His highest sale.
I love this card, baby face and everything. But I like how they conveyed it. They conveyed he's a babyface little rookie in this one.
$580 raw. Last October was the highest sale. Number 3 is Alexander Ovechkin.
Look at that, missing tooth and all. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. I like
this one. This one looks really good. Like this one looks great.
So this one sold highest sale 608 raw, and that was from last March. Number 2, now the number 2 and number 1 are graded. So there's Sid.
Yep.
He's number 2. PSA 10. So for $1,205 just this past November. And then number 1, not a giant shock, is McDavid.
Yep.
PSA 10 sold for $1,405 this past September as well. So there's I really like the designs. I think I like him even a little bit better than the 2022 version. But they're just pretty awesome. So once again, this set 2021-22 was the first year for 16-bit. It only came in the Allure set. It did come back I just mentioned in the most recent Allure 2022-23. It was not an Easter egg though.
Yep.
They added it to the set, to the checklist as a set, and it's 20 cards in the most recent release. The pack odds are 1 in 810. I'm guessing there's more 16 bits in 2022 Allure. And so for a couple of reasons, I think that my collecting sensibility gravitates more to this initial release. The one thing I really, not to make this about 2022 16-bit, but they replicated 3 players. It was Ovechkin, McDavid, and Crosby. And why I think that that's important to know is that if any of those guys are your guys, in the long haul, the 2021 is going to be, I think, a much better card than the 2022, because I'm pretty big on the firsts when it comes to inserts. It's like Jambalaya, right? Do you want to get what's going to be better, the 2020 Kaprizov Jambalaya or the 2021? Even though I don't think there was a 2020 Kaprizov.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole repeating thing. My thing is, I don't like that they did 16-bit again with repeater players. I don't like that, but I thought they might go the next level and go 32-bit or 64-bit or 8-bit. And then I would be fine if you came out with another McDavid or something. But I don't like that there's 2 16-bit sets with the same guy. But hey, that's what every set you find one that hits. there's multiple jambalayas and all this stuff.
Well, like 6 years from now, or 8 years from now, they'd have to have like 8K OLED or whatever, OLED or
the whole bit thing's kind of gonna lose its muster now that we're getting into such crazy graphics.
But all in all, it's been a huge hit. It's almost exactly what we've been asking for since the day we started this show, for Upper Deck to try a whole bunch of concepts and have that kind of big insert chase, and people love them. They're super tough to get.
Yep.
I'm pretty bullish over these over the long haul, and this is a card I think I might be hunting at the expo.
Well, think too, this hit, like you were talking about, people in their 40s we grew up with this stuff. We grew up with this video game era of 16-bit, but also couple that with retro gaming. The retro gaming market is stupid right now. It's done whatever. It's just shot straight up like a rocket. Prices are crazy, but again, now you're pulling in a whole bunch of new people into retro gaming, and that maybe that ties into some of this too.
It has that crossover, right, sensibility. So, well, if you like these set deep dives, be sure to let us know. We can do more of them, and it's kind of fun to mix and match with players, so it doesn't feel like we're getting super repetitive.